This will be my first time using the new stuff, so we shall see. To go check, what am I going to check? I'm going to have to go check out the YouTube channel and see where we are. But Adam, which game did you guys finish off on?
I wasn't really paying attention. No, we were on the
That is just perfect.
we were on the Denver New Orleans game. We just wrapped up talking about Denver and New Orleans.
I think this is going to kick us off on a new feed, so let me figure out via the tweet where the hell we are so I can get there in the room. But yeah, it's cold everywhere. Cold. I was out shoveling snow this morning. It was 10 degrees. I got back in. I finally have warmed up. Okay, there we go. I've got us live on this. So let me figure out where we are. So I know we're broadcasting. But let's see. Let's go over here to YouTube. But yeah, it was just frozen outside. Literally. I haven't seen that movie, but all I could think of was the song "Let It Go." I don't know any of the lyrics, Adam, but that's from that song there. But
Frozen's the movie.
Frozen the movie, yes.
I've seen that one.
Wait, you've seen a cartoon movie about a princess, but you haven't seen like 99% of all other movies.
Yeah, I pick and choose wisely.
What was her name, the girl that you saw the movie with?
Megan.
There we go. Was it in the theater or was it Netflix and chill? Because
it wasn't even a girl I was dating. It was someone that I bartended with, but we were drinking and watching her kids.
All right. Okay, here we go. So I found us. I'm going to drop this link in the other chat, and then we will get going here. Let's see. Apologies, everyone. Poor Josh is probably going to be a little chilly, shall we say, in there. I've got to get him to tell me one trick on this. Okay, so we are good, and we will get going here, Adam. All right. Sorry, I've got too many windows open. Which game are you? Were you guys on? You said Dallas?
No. We just finished the Denver New Orleans game.
So okay.
We have the Indiana Washington game at 8:00, and then we have
two late games. Okay.
Yeah.
So all right, you did Memphis and Minnesota.
Yeah.
All right. Let's go. Indiana and the Wizards. Somehow the Wizards, basically lost to the worst team in the NBA, Cleveland Cavaliers, in Cleveland last night. And then their bench came back at them. They were down by just over 20 going into the fourth quarter, and their bench dropped 44 points in the fourth quarter, losing by 3. What a mess the Wizards are. I don't even know what to take from that. Otto Porter, still somewhat reasonable. They've got their matchup here against Indiana. We've got Tomas Satoransky. Those guys are in the low to mid 6Ks on DraftKings. Trevor Ariza playing a boatload of minutes. Bradley Beal not really cresting over the 50 fantasy points, but we want to keep playing him because he gets the heavy minutes. You've got Jan Mahimny fouled out, Adam, 16 minutes against Cleveland, because Ante Zizic is such a difficult guard. What are we doing with the Wizards?
God, I can't wait till they fire Scott Brooks.
And Ernie Grunfeld. I want the package deal, damn it.
Yeah, I mean, Grunfeld's the bigger issue, but I've kind of just accepted that he's going to be there until he dies. Because at this point, if he hasn't been fired, he's just not going anywhere. But, it's I hate this team. But Bradley Beal still, a pretty strong play. His price tag dropped to 87 on DraftKings. The problem is that he's the same price point as Drew Holiday and Luka. He's third behind those guys. The caveat would be that, if there's certainly, and I don't have our ownership projections in front of us, but certainly a scenario or a reasonable possibility that you get like 30% ownership on Luka, you get like 30% on Drew, and you get like 8 on Beal. If that happens, then, being overweight on Beal, if you're playing a bunch of lineups, makes sense. I do have him third behind those guys, though. Otto Porter at 5,700, like he's been disappointing lately, but you still should get around 32, maybe more minutes from him. He still has the usage. He's still coming off the bench in a nice role. So I think that's an appealing price tag. You mentioned the minutes for Ariza and Satoransky, 36 to 38 minutes in competitive games for those guys. Not the price tags have come up to where, I don't like them as much as I like Beal. I don't like them as much as I like Porter, but they're still reasonable. Thomas Bryant, your guess is as good as mine how many minutes he plays. Mahinmi being back doesn't do him any favors. So I'm not overly interested in him just because of the minutes issue. And then Jeff Green at 4,600, should play around 30 to 32 minutes. So Beal and Porter are the two guys I like the most. From a roster construction standpoint, I assume that I'll end up with more Porter than anyone from the Wizards. Whatever I get to out of the rest of those guys, I'm fine with.
All right. And that's, it's mixing and matching. So a little tricky on that one. On the other side here, we've got Indiana. We know that we want bigs against the Wizards. Miles Turner is someone I'm very, very interested in. If you're doing draft today, wait till the 5th round in those 8-mans to get your center. I've been getting at the beginning of the 5th round, I'm able to get Marc Gasol, who actually has performed relatively well against Karl-Anthony Towns. And if he's gone, you're still going to get Hassan Whiteside or Miles Turner. So don't waste your picks on centers unless you get the first pick and you really feel like you need to take Jokic. Over there, you're going to want to try to hit forwards early. There's plenty of guard depth as well, but the forwards thin out. Back to daily fantasy sports with the salary cap, Adam. We have the Indiana Pacers here, who we already know are going to be without Tyreke Evans, who's still dealing with a sore back. Victor Oladipo done for the year. That leaves some Darren Collison, some revenge going both ways here. Jan Mahimny, of course, for the Wizards. Yeah, don't play Jan Mahimny. But we do have Bogdanovic going for the Pacers. Solid play there. He has really stepped it up. He's basically their second scoring option. Talk to me about the Pacers here. Does it lead off with Miles Turner, actually, in this one?
Yeah, I really like the spot here for Turner. His minutes have been up. Last game, he only played 26 minutes, but that was a blowout loss against the Warriors. Those 26 minutes came in 3 quarters. If he had gotten his 4th quarter run, you once again would have seen him up around 32, maybe more minutes. I think that's really appealing here. Obviously, he becomes more of an offensive option without Oladipo out there as well. Just a spot where he should have a lot of success against the Wizards, I think. So I like Turner. Sabonis, if he played the issue with Sabonis obviously is the minutes. Again, this is not a big Washington team, so I don't expect to see much Turner plus Sabonis lineups from Indiana. If Turner were to get in foul trouble or something, then Sabonis would be really productive. But the price tag is still too expensive for me to really want to get to Sabonis. Darren Collison and Bogdanovic both, I think, are good plays with Oladipo and with Evans out. So far this season, you've seen nearly a 20% usage rate from Collison without those two on the floor, in addition to an almost 40% assist percentage, which is nice. Should play north of 30 minutes as well. Bogdanovic, if I get there, I'm fine with that. Same goes for Thad Young, whose price tag's dropped to 5,600. Just a lot of really appealing pieces for this Indiana team, even though Washington is not playing as fast as they were earlier. They have been better defensively. It's still a pretty nice matchup for these guys.
What are you going to do with Darren Collison? He's getting the minutes. It's not a fierce backcourt defense coming from the Wizards here. Solid. He's seemingly, if we call 40 fantasy points, and from him we probably should, spectacular when I don't take him. But he's been in the upper 20s, the low 30s. It's reasonable. We've got 16 teams in our player pool, but if we're thinking about a little bit of a game stack coming back with 1 or 2 Pacers going against 1 or 2 Wizards, is your next guy in going to be Bogey, or would it be Collison?
I have Bogey a little ahead of Collison. The price tag's more appealing on Bogdanovic. The position's more appealing. The thing with Collison, and I do like him, but the thing is he's basically the same price as Satoransky, and you start just kind of looking at it as like a math problem, and Satoransky normally is going to play 36 to 38 minutes, whereas Collison probably plays like 32, 33, maybe like 34 with similar per minute production. So it becomes difficult for Collison to be the best play there.
All right, got the little tweet up there. We've got everything back under control. We've got a leisurely look here. We got a couple games left. If you're good with the Wizards and Pacers analysis.
Yeah, I was just pulling up the numbers without Evans or Oladipo on the floor this season just to actually get it. So Collison's played 131 minutes now without either of them on the floor, which obviously isn't a huge sample. You don't want to take too much away from it, but over that sample, he has averaged a little over a fantasy point per minute. He has a 21% usage rate. So obviously he's getting the opportunities. Miles Turner has averaged 1.14 DraftKings points per minute in 113 minutes, 23.8% usage, which obviously is really nice for him. So yeah, I mean, Turner's the guy that I like the most. You have Thad Young at 1.1 fantasy points per minute, Bogdanovich at 0.77. But the thing with him is that his production obviously is going to depend on how he's shooting. He has almost a 21% usage rate, which is nice.
All right. The next game we've got here is Atlanta and Sacramento. These teams are both playing at some of the fastest paces since Christmas. We know that Atlanta has been very kind to us from a daily fantasy perspective. Not only do they play substandard defense and play quickly, but they actually have been able to score and keep games competitive now that everybody is healthy again. And we actually saw them go in on Monday night and win against the Clippers. This is where it comes into it's folly attempting to predict blowouts on a particular day. Weird stuff can happen. The home court advantage is real. There are 9 teams right now that have winning records on the road. 2 or 3 of them have a winning record by 1 game. So a third of the league, barely a third of the league, wins on the road. So we know that Sacramento slipping out of the playoff picture in the West, no surprise there, but they're still giving it the good college effort. This game, Adam, is one where it almost feels like we want to get a couple pieces of on our lineups, even though there is going to be 8 games. Do you want to, and I know you have a different perspective, and your model and strategy is a little bit different, but do you want to do anything special to ensure you get something from this game?
No, and the reason is, so I like this game a lot. Like, I will have a lot of plays from this game, but I don't plan on setting any sort of rule, like, having a minimum of 1 or 2 guys from this game. And the reason is that both of these teams run deep rotations, and both of these teams have a lot of guys that can contribute. If you look at Atlanta's last game against the Clippers, Trae Young led them in minutes played at 31.2. They played 10 guys. That's just a team where, even though there's a lot of points scored, those points can be spread out. And it's not to say that no one on this team has a good game. It's just that I don't think that it's very clear exactly who it's going to be. And the same goes for the Kings. Now that they're fully healthy, you're seeing their minutes spread out more as well. So while I like these plays, I don't feel the need to have someone from this game in every lineup unless they just organically get there.
Okay, so let's start off here with the Kings in this one, because they have some of the guys that I think organically may get there, which I love that. That's a nice phrase there, Adam. But Bogdan, I guess he's the original Bogey. It's Bojan. Plays for the Pacers, but or he's not the original Bogey, but he is Bogdanovich, not Bojan, Bogdanovich. 5,500 on DK, very nice. Seems to be over that toe injury. Had solid minutes in his last outing. You have Marvin Bagley, whose minutes have been trending up, just 7 fouls in his last 3 games. So we like to see that. That has been one of the little issues he has had. Buddy Hield's price is up there at 7,200. Split the difference between Hield and those other guys. You got Willie Cauley-Stein at 6,200. I have a feeling that that Bogey and Marvin Bagley are going to end up in a fair number of your lineups.
Yeah, especially Bogdanovich. 31 minutes last game. Outside of 2 games ago where he played 20 minutes, you're pretty consistently seeing him get into that 30-minute range. He's really inexpensive. He's really good. Does a lot of stuff well, and really benefits from playing with this second unit. So really like him a lot. Also, having multi-position eligibility on DraftKings makes him really nice. Bagley's minutes concern me just because I can't really figure out why he only played 20 minutes against the Clippers. He's obviously really productive when he does play, but with Bjelica back in the lineup, it's a little bit tougher to, confidently give him those minutes. I still think that I'll probably end up giving him like 26, and assuming that last game was, kind of an anomaly, but it's at least worth noting that it's a little bit concerning.
Yeah, absolutely. And I haven't gone and looked at the popcorn machine. Hadn't been updated for a while. We were trying to look at some stuff last night. It hadn't been updated since 26, so I was playing around with another site. But in that one, just looking at the score, I'm wondering if because they may have been down before closing it in, I would have, it's reading too much into it. But yeah, that is the one concern. But prior to that, 29-38, he did get a start there. There were some other people injured. They're coming back now, but I do like the price on Bagley, and he's another guy. I was doing some drafts last night and this morning. You can get him in the 4th or 5th round as your last power forward on the 8-mans. De'Aaron Fox, Price is going up. It's from over the last couple games. Minutes, we know he's going to play in the mid 30s, 32 to probably 34. I don't know if we're going to get much more than that. That's a little bit of a concern. But this matchup against Atlanta, magnifique, Adam. And he has been shooting a ton. He has taken 16, 17, and 14 shots in his last 3 games. We like to see that. Will De'Aaron Fox be in your plans, or is he coming in right at that price point break of about 5.1 where he may start falling out of your lineups?
I mean, I like him. I don't. He's not grading out as one of my favorite plays. Like, even from this team, I prefer Bogdanovich. But if you compare him to other guys at the price point, like, I prefer Fox here against the Hawks to Mike Conley against the. So I expect that I'll have some Fox. Probably not a priority play for me. Buddy Hield, I think, is interesting as well. He's actually playing more minutes. We saw 38 last game, 36 the game before that. In obviously a really nice matchup here against Atlanta. So both of those guys, whatever of them I get, I'm very happy with. I expect that I'll get less of them than I will Bogdanovich.
All right. Going back to the visiting Hawks, again, they're on their West Coast road swing. John Collins still having a solid season, but we are not seeing dramatic upside. He has only topped 40 fantasy points once in his last 7 games. The minutes have been there. The points have been there. The rebounds ticking down just a little bit during that stretch because we had seen him go 3 straight there at the beginning of this month where he was averaging 20 and 10, or actually it was closer to 22 and 12. But that's just the rebounds haven't been there. And that's what we're going to need to get him over the hump. 6, 6, 8, 10. That's okay. 11-5, yeah, not really. 11-9, yeah. But we need the 14, the 13, the 16, the 12 that we want to see from him. And his shot attempts have been down by a handful of per game over this last 4 or 5 game stretch here, Adam. Talk to me a little bit about Collison because the matchup is very nice for him.
Yeah, it's a great matchup. The problem is just what I alluded to at the beginning of talking about this game. They're back to playing a very, very flat rotation where, John Collins should be playing 34 to 36 minutes a night, but he played 30.1 minutes in their last game. He got 0 minutes at center. Those minutes were split between Len and Dedmon entirely. Amari Spellman's still in the rotation. Vince Carter has reemerged as not a key piece, but playing, 8 to whatever, 12 minutes a night. It's just hard to really confidently predict Collins for more than 30 minutes. And he's at a price tag where you would like your players to be playing more than 30 minutes. So really good matchup for him. I expect him to do really well on a permanent basis. It's to go to him with any confidence because those 4 to 6 minutes matter when you're talking about going from like 30 to 34 or 36.
All right. Anything else from this contest?
Yeah, I mean, so Sacramento, there are, I think, good plays at their price tags, like Bogdanovich, Fox, Hield, potentially Bagley. If I were going to set a rule, like you had mentioned at the beginning, it would be at least one Sacramento guy, because they at least, I think, have several guys that are reasonably priced. For Atlanta, it's a lot tougher because, again, you don't really have anyone playing more than 30 minutes right now. And their price tags have come up to where you have, Trae Young at 7,400, Collins at 79. I like Trae Young in a game stack situation. I expect he'll probably be higher owned than I would like in tournaments as like a standalone play. So he's okay to me. Prince is like a completely mediocre play. So is Jeremy Lin. So is Dedmon. Like the entire Atlanta team just grades out as like very, very neutral for me. Whereas, Sacramento, we had a few guys that I have as above average.
Okay. Totally fair. And it's, late January, it is the NBA. Someone could get sick. Something could happen for someone from Atlanta, and that could help get us another 25 minutes to spread around to some of their guys. So keep in mind.
It is worth pointing out that last game, even though they do have everyone healthy now, we did get the 31 minutes from Young. We got 24 minutes from Jeremy Lin. So we did at least see, 6 minutes alongside Trae Young for Jeremy Lin. That makes Lin pretty appealing as a hopefully low-owned tournament play.
Okay. And 4,100 on DraftKings.
Right.
Still solid there. Going on to our last game of the night. This will be the fourth time that the Portland Trailblazers and Utah Jazz have squared off. Portland is favored at home by a bucket. We have a 217.5 over under here. I will say that Nurkic and Gobert battle each other out. Each has had a reasonable outing in the last 3 games, but the rest have been relatively pedestrian. Anything can happen in tournaments, etc. But these guys, I don't think, are going to be much of my plan. Damian Lillard sat out the last game. More or less, it was for rest purposes. He is all but assured to be starting in this one. 8,500. Intriguing price tag there. Of course, when he's going to be driving to the bucket, Rudy Gobert, the Stifle Tower, will be waiting for him. Ricky Rubio, 6,000. I do like him at that price point. Al-Farouq Aminu tends to have a bit of a struggle in these matchups, probably because he's banging against favors and just not quite as big in there. Let's start off with the Jazz here. Donovan Mitchell, 8,400. Kind of a neutral play at that price point now that Ricky Rubio is back. Rubio at 6K, I'm all right with. What do you have from the backcourt for us here, Adam?
Yeah, Mitchell's kind of in no man's land for me on this slate because Rubio coming back, he's been back, but Rubio playing more minutes. For one, it gives Mitchell less production per minute when he's out there with Rubio. Also, you don't need Mitchell to go out there and play 38 plus minutes anymore, probably goes back to around 36. And then when you look around that price point, you have Bradley Beal who's playing monster minutes. You have Luka Doncic, who is phenomenal and in a great spot. You have Drew Holiday, who is the entire Pelicans team right now. So it's just really, really difficult to get to Mitchell, even if you're factoring in ownership, because like Beal should be low owned and I'd rather play him than Mitchell. So it gets really tough with Mitchell. Rubio, I agree with you. Not a phenomenal play, but if we're going to get around 30 to 32 minutes from him, with them ramping things up at 6K, it's perfectly fine. I think Gobert is my favorite play from this team. 8,100 on DraftKings is just too low for what we get from Rudy Gobert. Only played 32 minutes last game, but for the most part, it's been playing 34 to 36, and he has plenty of block upside here against 2 driving guards in Dame Lillard and CJ McCollum. So that gives him a little bit of extra upside, not to mention he's also defending a high usage player in Yusuf Nurkic, which gives him some defensive upside. So I like Gobert quite a bit.
All right, rolling down the rest of the team here. Joe Ingles has, averaged about 32 minutes in his last 2 games here against Portland. Crappy fantasy performances here. Again, just, he's got to deal with Minu. Jay Crowder's got in the mix here. Derek Favors is in the mix. When everybody's healthy, Joe Ingles becomes the 3rd or 4th option in most situations. He's still out there for the minutes. He's adequately priced at 5,600 on DraftKings. I wouldn't hate if he ended up in my lineups, but I'm not looking to get him. Kind of the same thing goes with Favors here. Either one of those guys could have a decent game. Throw in Jay Crowder as well. It's just hard to tell when everybody is healthy. I'd probably lean a little bit more towards Favors here just for some additional size going against Portland. But these guys, Adam, I suspect will only be in the lineups where I'm doing my crunches. If I were hand building, I wouldn't go to anybody outside of Rubio or Gobert, as you alluded to. Any other thoughts here with the Jazz?
No, that's where I'm at as well. If I get small exposures to those guys across a bunch of lineups, that's whatever. But, if I'm trying to narrow down and build 1 or 2 or 3 lineups or whatever, outside of Gobert and Rubio, I'm not really considering anyone from Utah.
All right. Finishing it up here, getting back to the filtered section. We've got Portland, Dame Lillard, very, very intriguing at 8,500 here. Yusuf Nurkic again. Nurkic and Gobert battle against each other. Fun as hell to watch. Don't know that I want to pay 8,300 for Nurkic. If he pops into any tournament lineups, I'll live with it. But I suspect he's not going to be in very many of my plans. CJ McCollum up a little bit at 7,300. He got a nice game in the absence of Damian Lillard, but with those guys sharing the ball, kind of mutes McCollum's upside somewhat, especially now that he's priced so much closer to Lillard. What do you like here from Rip City?
Nurkic is actually grading out really well for me, which scares. I actually have him right now as better than Gobert, which scares me. And I don't agree with it, but normally computers are smarter than me. So I mean, it's nice for Nurkic in that we should see him get to the top of his minutes range here against Gobert, because when he's not in foul trouble and when they don't get blown out, he normally plays around 30 minutes anyway. But we've seen against some bigger centers, more traditional centers, that Nurkic can play 36 minutes, but even can get to that 32, 33 minute mark more frequently. So I have him at 32 minutes right now, and he's just been so good as the season's gone along. Over the last month, he has a 25% usage rate. He also has a 20% rebounding percentage and a 20% assist percentage. To put that in context, Nikola Vucevic is the only player in the NBA this season that has all three of those rates above 20% for the season. So, that's how well Nurkic has been producing over the last month. And the matchup against Gobert, it's not that bad for a guy like Nurkic, who, is a well-rounded offensive player that can do a lot of things well. So it just doesn't really concern me that much. I think that Nurkic does have a lot of upside here. Lillard, the price tag is fair at 8,500. I think that he certainly has some upside. But again, when you're comparing him kind of even across the positions, like I'd rather have Drew, I'd rather have Luka. Beal, I think, is really comparable. So I think Nurkic is actually going to be probably my highest owned guy from the Blazers.
All right, looking at his last 3 games here this season, again, this is the 4th time these two teams are scored away. He had 6 blocks against Gobert in Utah a week ago. That is his high for the last 2 seasons. So just want to keep that in mind. In that game, he did drop a 50-burger in 32 minutes. This is DraftKings scoring. 22 points, 8 rebounds, 7 assists, and the aforementioned 6 blocks. The time before that, this was on Christmas. The Jazz just knocked the piss out of Portland, if I remember correctly. But 26 minutes, 7 points, 10 boards. It's not great. He only took 10 shots. So normally we see him with around 15 to 16 shots per game. And then the one before that was just a couple of days prior to Christmas. 27 minutes, he had a double-double, 10 and 10. So nothing spectacular. If we look back at last year, he had one solid outing with 40 fantasy points, one horrible outing. He must have got hurt or something must have happened because he only played 14 minutes. So let's toss that one out. But he only got 9 fantasy points, and then he had a mediocre 32 fantasy points. So these are not horrible games, but we haven't really seen the upside other than just one. So food for thought there, but this is one of the ones, Adam, where I am guessing. I had to close our projections. There they are. I'm trying to see. Do you think we have anybody from this game projected at 10% or more?
Probably not. Right. Maybe Gobert.
Okay, I'm gonna look here, filtering it, hitting OK. Look at you, Gobert 21. Nurkic 16, nobody else over 7. It's Aminu at 7, Mitchell at 6, and then everybody else in the 1 to 2% range.
And so counterpoint to what you were saying about Nurkic this season, for one, and I don't think you do either, but I don't put much weight into prior matchups anyway. Mm-hmm. But if he's averaged 1.5 fantasy points per minute against Utah this year. The minutes were down in some of those games. So actually, sorry, I have a preseason game in there, so I should take that one out. Didn't realize the date on that. But, he had 35 points in 27 minutes. He had 54 in 32, and then he had the dud in that game on Christmas where he was in foul trouble.
So what I do is probably similar to you. I do go back and look at particularly Western Conference and Eastern Conference matchups against the centers because they see each other so often just to get a feel for stuff. I think that Nurkic and Gobert are two guys that are so often overlooked in the DFS world. They can contribute in a multitude of facets, with rebounds, scoring, blocks. They're both reasonable passers, particularly Nurkic. And if they get the right matchup, people overlook them, and that's where you're going to grab them for 50 fantasy points. They're both pretty good at defense. Going against each other sort of mutes things just a touch. They're both a tick over 8,000. If they were a tick under, 8,000 at 77, 7,800 on DraftKings, I'd probably be singing a different tune. I don't hate them, but if I was building something by hand, I don't know that they would get in there if I was doing like a 3 max. Is more where I'm going from that one.
Yeah, and so I mean, so in the 3 regular season games this year, Nurkic has still averaged 1.36 fantasy points per minute. If he plays 32 minutes, that's like 43 DraftKings points, which obviously is fine. He has upside for more. I don't know. I'm not really concerned about the matchup.
Okay. One of the ones, the other one I was looking at just from a historical perspective was, sorry, my eyes are really itchy. I got something. When I was out shoveling snow this morning, I guess, or dry eye, which is always awesome. Hey, guess what? Refresh Plus. I buy them by the giant size from Costco. There we are. Refresh Plus. Let's do an ad for somebody that's not a sponsor. We've got Adam Gasol and Karl-Anthony Towns. And funny enough, Towns has not done great against Gasol. Gasol has actually done better against Towns. One of the reasons I was looking at these matchups is I was trying to decide how long I was going to wait on centers in draft, which got me to wait just to the last round because, I'll take Gasol, I'll take Turner, I'll take Whiteside today with my 8th pick and have no issues with it. So I was trying to nuance it from if I was going to rank these guys in a raw point order. From that standpoint, I was looking for some tiebreakers because, frankly, centers go 11 deep today. Pretty easy. Right. So there we are. Hey, Thrive Fantasy. Adam, you want to do a couple Thrive questions just so we can completely rescue Josh and then get on out of here?
Yeah, let's go. I'm pulling it up now.
All right, I'm going to drop this into chat. Reminder, you guys can sign up for Thrive and get a deposit bonus. Go to bit.ly/awesemo. I've just dropped that into the chat. That will take you to the Thrive website where you can download their app to your Droid or your iPhone. Once you've got it downloaded and you make your first deposit, you put in $10, they'll match it with 10. You put in 100, they'll give you 20. You put in 200, they'll give you 50. That's available for immediate use. Thrive is based on player props. So how they work their contests is they have 20 questions. You select any 10 that you want, and then all you got to do is pick which outcome you think is going to happen. It's binary. So the lower the probability of something happening in the questions or in our choices, the more points you get. The higher the probability of something happening, the less points you get. Adam, let's do a couple questions here just so the audience can get a feel for the flavor of Thrive.
Yeah, so I mean, I think we got to start with Luka here going against the Knicks. 19.5 total points. You get 90 points for the over, 110 for the under. I'm taking the over. It's pretty easy for me, even getting fewer points. I'm projected for about 26. So just not really even close for me.
He's 19. This is the youngest player that got a 35-point triple-double. Of course, I'm going to take the over because he is a pleasure to watch. And that is what we want to base our analysis off of, Adam, is if we like to watch the players. No, he's a phenomenal guy out there, and I do like this matchup for him with that benchmark. All right.
Yeah. So speaking of players that some of us like to watch, we got your boy, Nick Batum. 15.5 total points plus rebounds, 100 points for the over, 100 points for the under.
So points plus rebounds?
Yeah, points plus rebounds.
And 15.
14.5.
14.5. All right. This is against Boston, no Kyrie Irving. I'm going to take the under. I think it's close, but I will take the under on this one, Adam.
Yeah, I have the under as well. All right. Next one's good. Nikola Jokic going against the Pels. Some combination of Okafor, Diallo, maybe Julius Randle. Doesn't really matter. 27.5 total points plus assists. 100 points for the over and the under.
Oh, definitely take the over.
Yeah, I have him I have him at 25.5 points.
Yeah.
Plus. Yeah. So, all right, same game. Another really good, appealing fantasy option in that game. Drew Holiday. 33.5 total points plus rebounds plus assists, 95 points for the over, 105 for the under.
I'm going to go with the over, even though it is a back-to-back. I think that Jamal Murray is one of the key guys that helps start out that Denver defense, and Holiday is just going to be having the weight of the world on his shoulders. So I will take the over in that one.
Yeah, I have the over on Drew also. We can close it out with the most appealing fantasy game on the slate. Atlanta, Sacramento, De'Aaron Fox, over under 26.5 points plus assists, 100 points either way.
All right, chat. While we're doing this, type in a 1 if you want me to ban DFS Wizard. Type a 2 if you want him to stay. There you go. Your fate's going to be decided by your peers, Wizard, because you're kind of annoying here in chat. I will take the over on that one, Adam.
I have him actually at exactly 26.5, so I wouldn't pick it if I wouldn't pick it in my Thrive contest, but I would take the over if I had to guess.
So that was a trick question. I like that. Yeah. Oh, good ones there. Good ones. All right. That is going to do it. That'll wrap it up for us. We have some shows this evening. We've got the Deep Dive article coming out from Lofty. We've got Adam doing the Deeper Dive show with Lofty. I believe that will be starting at 5:15 today. It's a 7:30 NBA lock.
5:30.
Oh, it's 5:30. Okay, you guys decided on that. So 5:30. It's a 7:30 NBA lock, and then the last hour will be Fast Eddie Fear taking you down the home stretch. So with that, gamers, check everything out. You can find Adam at Ship My Money DFS. I am at EMAC DFS, and of course, it is Awesemo_COM. With that, gamers, good luck. Now I got to figure out how to shut this thing down, Adam.